Hey, good morning, everybody. John Rothwell, Doctor of Nursing Practice with Island Direct Primary Care, and this is our first guest, Trinity Fitness at Maryland Island, for our Wellness That Last podcast. And so I introduced that a couple weeks ago. And so today we're going to start it off with something dear to my heart, which is faith and why we do things. And so I have Emily and Nicole here with me as our guests to talk a little bit about Trinity Fitness and their journey. And I have my cheat sheet here because this is new for me. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Awesome. So why don't we just start off first, and whoever wants to answer, that's okay, is just who is or what is Trinity Fitness?
So Trinity Fitness is a faith-based, not-for-profit gym. We combine metabolic conditioning with strength training to do functional fitness. All of our classes are group classes, and we have certified trainers leading all of the classes. What's really cool about our gym, and alongside it being a nonprofit, is that all of our trainers are volunteers. So that's how we can keep our costs low, and we also rely on donations and sponsorships so that we never have to turn anybody away. So if somebody can't afford what we suggest for them to give monthly as a donation, we don't have to turn them down. They can stay and get on financial flexibility with us.
Love it. So, when I think of wellness, I think of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial wellness. And in reality, even though Trinity Fitness is a faith-based organization, you guys are actually hitting all 5 pillars.
Oh yeah.
And that's pretty amazing. So we'll start with Nicole. So Nicole, why Trinity Fitness for you?
Oh my goodness. Well, I started off coming to Merritt Island working in my backyard. I had everything I needed, and I met someone who was a trainer at the gym, and she told us about a special going. So I was like, I already have a gym. Why would I go somewhere else? So I came and did my first class, and then they had a special going. So I was like, well, I'll give it a little bit more of a try. And honestly, the community, I fell in love. There's a community there unlike any gym I've ever been to. I've been doing CrossFit for 12, 13 years, and I've never experienced a group of people who are more loving, devoted to Jesus, positive, uplifting. It's just, you feel it in the environment the minute you walk in. Everyone is so excited to see you, and that's something I was not getting by myself in my backyard.
I hear you. How about you, Emily?
I actually had a very good friend of mine, Missy Nelson, who told me every day for months and months, you need to quit your job and come to Trinity Fitness. And finally, I had been so stressed out with my work environment. It was just very toxic, and it was taking a very heavy toll on my body, and mentally and physically. And so I quit my job and I walked into Trinity Fitness the next day, and I couldn't get enough. I had to just keep going back. It was like something that I needed for my physical healing, but spiritual healing as well.
I think everybody's priorities are slightly different. So for Island Direct Primary Care, we kind of have 2 pillars holding us up. It's God, family, and community. And then it's to be loving, encouraging, empowering. And I see how all that kind of fits within Trinity. And I think that's where the synergy is, right? And so where you have these strategic partnerships that not only are utilized to help our businesses grow, because that's part of the intent. In our case, we have an opportunity to glorify God in an interesting way. And then at the same time, it's a way that we're giving back to the community in a sense of improving community health. And so now we're kind of going from that sick care momentum, which is the traditional healthcare model, into that healthcare model. And so as you age, we start thinking about not only lifespan, but health span. How can I live longer, healthier? And so when I think of fitness and resistance, like one of the key things we're going to talk about metabolic systems, and we talk about in my practice where muscle atrophy is one of the leading causes of aging, right? And so interesting enough, muscle building is one of the reasons for increased longevity and an increased health span, right? And so working with an organization that has that primary focus where it's like, look, we all have a common ground when it comes to talking about our Creator and these kind of things. We now have a common community that is focusing on kind of living a healthier life rather than responding to sickness. Yeah. So how long, Nicole, have you been at Trinity?
I've only been there for 2 years.
Only 2
Only 2 years. It feels like longer, to be honest. When you meet this community of people and you get vulnerable with them, because at the end of each class we do prayer requests or praises. And so when you open up your heart to people and you're vulnerable with them and you share things that you're praying about that maybe you wouldn't normally share, and then they all can put hands on you. Yeah, 2 years has felt like I've been there for so much longer because I feel like these people are my family.
That's awesome. So I want to, Emily, this is your question, so I'll let you think about it. I want to know what a typical session looks like.
Okay.
Just kind of walk us through so our guests know. But that reminded me, I'm actually in a men's group with Nicole's husband, and we were talking about surrender this week, and there were some comments, and I was talking about, just praying for new opportunities every morning when I surrender to actually bring faith into my conversations. And so one of the things that people may or may not know, if you follow me on social media, you'll know that we serve Matthew's Hope, and it's a homeless ministry in Cocoa. And they actually bus in some homeless people from camps and stuff so that they can get showers and haircuts and get groceries and get a hot meal and these kind of things. And so this week we had a guy come in who has very visible cancer, right? And so he has muscle atrophy, he's just kind of wasting away and stuff like that. And I asked him, and I go, is there anything I can do for you besides clean your wounds, right? And he goes, yeah, doc. He goes, can you pray for me? Being faith-based, and in our case, Christian, right? And so I remember whenever someone said that, says, yeah, sure, I'll pray for you. And it's like, I'm thinking I'm going to do it tonight before I go to bed, or do it in the morning and pray during my devotions. And so you guys are creating an environment, and this is the connection, right? We're creating an environment to where we can address spiritual healing, spiritual fitness, spiritual wellness right now, right there and then. And so we can do that. And that's kind of cool. So I'm like, can I pray for you now? And he looked at me and give me your hand. And so we're not of the same race. We're not of the same background or anything, but just to have that touch and vulnerability and stuff and be able to sit there and share tears, right? Of some of it's joy, some of it's sadness, right? Because of the situation, but it's kind of cool. And I really love the fact that you guys are allowing people that are in a healthy environment make themselves vulnerable and let them know that they're not alone. Because, when we talk about mental health, people often feel alone. And so when you give them a community, now you've given them no more loneliness, right?
Right.
Now if they're alone, it's a choice. Right? So super cool. So, all right, Emily, walk us through.
Okay. So, I wanted to kind of circle back a little bit and answer that question, but also tell you about our core scripture, which is 1 Timothy 4:8. And that scripture says, for physical training is of some value, godliness holds value for all things, and it's for this present life and the life to come. So as Trinity Fitness, we are the church there too. Like, we start our classes off with announcements, if we have announcements for the day, and we talk about our sponsor of the day, and then our trainers do a 3-minute devotional. So we're setting the atmosphere immediately with scripture, and that's something that's so special about Trinity is we open up with that, and then the trainers will go over the workout of the day, which it's all programmed on the board for us, and then they lead a warm-up and lead the members through the workout of the day. And then at the end of the workout, as soon as the timer is up, we switch it right over to praise and worship music. And then we kind of hone in, and everybody gathers together once all the equipment's put away, and we take prayer requests. And This conversation reminded me of something that happened a few days ago. One of our newer members asked us to pray for one of her really good friends who is having a medical procedure, and the outcome of this procedure looks very grim and it's not good. And this girl is only 36 years old. So super sad, but I immediately said, please put her name on the prayer board. And it's this board that we have that you see it before you leave the doors. You see that prayer board and the list of names, or maybe people will go into detail with what the prayer actually is. And the following day, which was yesterday, the girl that asked us to pray for her friend wasn't in class, but somebody else saw that name, and prayer was over, everybody's getting ready to leave, and she saw the name on the board and she said, wait, we have to pray for her too. So we all stopped what we were doing and prayed over her friend. Even though she wasn't there to remind us, we still had that reminder, and she knew she was having that procedure. And it just is something that is so special. You will not get that anywhere else in any other gym. People finish their workout and they're bye.
I'm out of here.
Tomorrow.
That's my excuse for not showing up. It's like, I just gotta hurry up and go and hurry up and shower and, make.
If they even talk to anybody while they're there, because a lot of places you go in, you do your thing, and then you leave.
It's not like the gyms where it's a social where it takes you 3 hours to get your 30-minute workout done because you're too busy running your mouth.
We're on the clock. You're in about an hour.
Exactly. So it's an hour. So what are your hours? Like right now, typically you have a training session in the morning, I think 5:30, and then you have a different time on Fridays, right?
Push the first class up 10 minutes to allow for a second morning class too. So our first class is at 5:20, then we have 6:30, and then we have 9:30 a.m. and then at nighttime we have the 5:45 p.m. class. Yes,
During the 9:30.
you can bring your kids to use the kids room if they're able to stay in there by themselves unattended. Basically there's toys, TV, movies and stuff. But at the 9:30 class we actually have a babysitter there watching the kids. So that's a good time for moms with really little kids to come and be able to get their workout and the social atmosphere that they so desperately need.
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting. I talk about this when we have meet and greets at our clinic, where I tell them my team schedule, and Dr. Noel is a nurse practitioner, Dr. Ashley's a nurse practitioner, and their moms and their wives. So when you have a family in that particular model where they work 28 hours a week so that they don't have to work 7 days a week. And so what I mean by that is if you're a spouse and you're a mom, Monday through Friday you have the school things, then you have your own job thing, and then after work you have the mom thing. And at some point in time you have to fit the husband thing in there too, right? And husbands are kind of needy. We're needy physically, emotionally, mentally. I mean, it's kind of how we are, because when we're the protector, and so when we're out of the house, we're out working, protecting, we're doing the things that, manly things, and, the spouse is at home, taking care of the home. And that's a 24/7 job. And in today's world, in today's economy, most families have to work too. So I find that women never get a break, because this happens Monday through Sunday. And guys will go fishing, guys will go golfing, guys will kind of go do a guy thing, right? And so now you guys are actually providing an outlet for everybody, and you have some flexible times too where they can do that. So I think that's super, super awesome, because it's self-care, right? And self-care is super important for just overall wellness.
And you talked about guys having their outlet. Well, we have another outlet for guys. Starting in February on Fridays in the evening, we're going to be having a jiu-jitsu class.
Fridays? Well, that started in February, so it's already started?
I said February, I meant April. Got a little ahead of myself.
It's okay.
April.
So jiu-jitsu.
That my husband is going to be leading. And
awesome.
he is so excited. So if you're free and you need...
Guys do.
Starting in April, Fridays in April. And it's going to be for beginners, so you don't have to have any experience when you come in. But the whole thing is it's going to still follow along with those Trinity Fitness values. We'll start with prayer and make sure that the goals still align with Trinity before you guys try to roll around with each other and do whatever it is that happens in jiu-jitsu.
Right. So that makes me think. So had to retire from rugby. Played rugby for 35 years back in September. So Emily and I kind of talked a bit about this. You know, my back is jacked. I think I have 15 bulging discs and 9 herniations. And so do you guys have the resources and your trainers have the skill set so if people participate and they're injured, to ensure that they're doing the right exercises so that they don't worsen the injury or these kind of things, or you just kind of like, you know what, look, work with your PT provider first before you come back to work? How do you guys handle those? So, or like for me, I'm not doing deadlifts whether you have a cage or not because I'll end up on the floor, right? But do your trainers have, it's like, okay, hey John, you know what, instead of doing these exercises, we want you to do these because it's still going to work the same muscle groups or similar muscle groups?
Yes, all of our trainers do have to go through a certification process. They have a manual that reiterates the things we go through during certification, and they know the muscle groups of each movement, and they know, and if they forget, they have their manual to look back and say, okay, this person is maybe limited in their mobility or they have an injury, so they're going to need a substitution. And it offers, our certification offers them all the substitutions that they would need to be able to refer them to something else.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so while we wrap this up, I have a couple just quick questions. So what is your go-to food for fuel? Okay. Any protein?
Yeah. Well, I should not have said yes because I'm very picky. I can see her rolling her eyes over here.
That's so odd.
Yes.
So the go-to protein?
Protein powder and chicken.
Okay. You dust the chicken with protein powder, or do you have like a protein drink in?
It's like, yes, this girl
She does have
eats
something.
protein powder. But
It's not chocolate, is it?
No.
Okay.
I want any protein powder really,
Okay.
but I'll mix it with peanut butter or
Like literally the protein powder mixed with just peanut butter.
Like a ball of it.
I'm tracking. So we'll have to do that as one of our future episodes.
Yeah,
Talk
just
about,
outed me first episode.
I love it because protein is super important for recovery and for muscle building, right? And sugar regulation. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's just like, oh, carb, especially if you're an athlete. We're taught very young that you need a carb load to be, and that's not necessarily true. While there are some sports and stuff like that where, you know, carbohydrates are important, carbohydrates are usually quick fuel, not long fuel, whereas protein tends to be long fuel, right? Okay, so what's your go-to?
So speaking with carbs, I like to have my carbs and protein together prior to a workout and then back off of the carbs throughout the day because I don't need them. But I do like them before a workout mixed with protein. So like my favorite thing is like a protein oatmeal because it's got good balanced carbs, good healthy whey protein, and then that way that fuels me for my workout. Not mixed in peanut butter.
Not mixed in peanut butter. And so what's the go-to workout shoe?
I love my Nanos. I've been wearing Nanos since I did CrossFit for the first time in 2015.
Awesome.
I like Metcons. Metcons, yeah.
And so we're talking about shoes, and I asked him that question because shoes are actually important, and they are actually part of your tool set or your equipment, just like gear, right? The clothing. And so I know in doing yoga, I practiced yoga for a few years and off and on. Yeah, me wearing yoga pants or yoga shorts and my shirt off and stuff like that was very, very uncomfortable. The nice thing is if you have the right shoes, you have the right tools, you're preparing yourself physically and mentally to go to work, right? Because you're actually working. So what's one takeaway, Nicole, that you would say someone new to Trinity Fitness will kind of get kind of like their first week there?
Well, something that I think they'll experience their first week there is really caring trainers that are really invested in their well-being. They know if you're brand new to working out, you're fresh off the streets, you haven't stepped foot in the gym in a while, they're gonna know how to scale for you so that you come back tomorrow motto is built, not broken. So we want you coming back. We don't want you so sore that you're like, I'm done with that place. So I think something that a new person would see is, wow, we really have trainers who are invested in you, in your health, your physical well-being, your spiritual well-being. So it's very special there.
Awesome. And then the last question is, so we talked a little bit about membership and how you guys manage your members and manage affordability, right? And so, accessibility and affordability is super important to me in my practice and what we do here. When it comes to Trinity Fitness, are there any special organizations that you guys work with to try to make it more affordable? And so I know the answer to the question, I'm just going to get you to...
Well, sponsorship is going to be something that is very important to us. Along with the members, the more people that we have that are able to give this suggested monthly giving rate, obviously the better we're going to be financially. But working with sponsors is really important to us because we can not only be able to bridge the gap for people who might not be able to afford the suggested giving rate that we have.
And what is the suggested giving rate?
For a general individual, it's $75 a month.
Okay.
And then we have other discounted plans like Heroes, Paramedic, Fire, First Responder. They have a $50 a month suggested giving rate, but there's student plans too, things like that. But with the sponsorships, we are helping them out too because we put your sign all around the room. So
Mine.
yes, you have a
Super
very
cool.
fun sign. But we're also promoting you on social media. We're interacting with you on social media. During our class times, we have a sponsor rotation. So at the beginning of every class when we're doing our announcements, we talk about the sponsor of the day, what services they offer, why they should go and see you. And it's just a partnership, really. And when our members are there, if they are having a plumbing issue in their house, they're going to look on the wall and see CV Plumbing right there, and that's who they're going to go to. So
Awesome.
it's like a little networking group almost.
Sure. No, I love it. For me, sponsorship was about y'all's purpose and your why. That really drove me there. Definitely not the time for working out, but part of it's because I'm always available to my patients 24/7. So some nights are a couple hours sleep, and some nights it's just like, oh man, I'm gonna get 7 hours tonight. That's my excuse. Okay, so but nonetheless, you guys provide all those opportunities, and so that's super, super cool. And having a culture that's focused on wellness and understands the significance of being healthy is another reason, to sponsor. And so that's also been super, super fun for me. So I've had a handful of patients that have come from y'all's gym that I didn't know. And of course, I had some patients that actually got me involved. Said, hey, look, John, we go to Trinity, have a sponsorship group. Let us introduce you to their team and create that opportunity. So if you're a small business, this is a great way for you to be involved. And then if you are a law enforcement officer, first responder, paramedic, and those kind of things, I'm a combat veteran, and I really thrive off of being like-minded individuals. I do that with my military background. I thrive on it with finding other men who spiritually sit in the same mold that I do, maybe at different levels, because that's how we create growth. You can talk to Matt. We have lots of uncomfortable conversations in our men's group. We don't all always get along, which is awesome because we can still love each other, afterwards and stuff. Thank you both for being a guest. We're going to do this some more. I don't know what it's going to look like, but you know what? We're just going to be perfectly imperfect, keep our why right. So I think we can all agree that for us, our whys are to glorify God, and then everything else will happen after that. And so I love having you here with me. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.
For having us.
Appreciate it.